3, 2, 1, and we are live.
Boom.
Gilbert and Luch here, back to you with another episode of Unfiltered Privilege.
Hey, man, time to get in where we fit in.
Yes, sir, as usual. What is today's topic, sir?
Man, I don't know if there's so much of a topic as there is just outrage, I guess, right? And it's been going on for a while, and I just think that most recently is when I was tipped to the point where I was like, bro, we got to say something, right? I mean, even if it's just to the 30 viewers we got, nigga, we got to say something. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It's just the culture, man, that we have right now of recording everything. You know what I'm saying? And not in the sense of recording yourself, but we watched a young man die this week.
Yeah.
Right? Most of America.
The dude outside the liquor store. What's his name?
Yeah, maybe his name Justin, maybe?
Justin something.
Man, maybe we should look that up, but everybody knows what I'm talking about, the 15-year-old boy in the Bronx.
The light-skinned cat.
My goodness. And we all watched that. You know what I'm saying? We all watched that video. And, I really just wanted to bring it up, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too, brother, because it's amazing to me. First off, it's amazing that happened. But what really blew my mind was being able to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being able to see it is what really fucked with me, because I'm like, holy shit, we just watched this kid die. And then I started thinking, you know what? His family just watched him die.
Yeah, that's insane.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to say something, because it's watching the video, and I'm not even gonna bullshit, man. I watched it a few times, and nobody helped. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's people on the streets, and nobody helped, man. You know what I mean? Like, and my question was, is that the culture that we're in now, where it's just more so pull your phone out and record rather than have real compassion, shit, even, you know what I'm saying, have some empathy and do something?
I mean, but then you're also asking someone to, like, I understand it's all just where the compassionate factor, factors in, but I mean, if you see something like that happening, you're not only like, yeah, of course you want to. There's a lot of people that probably want to help, but fear, I'm sure, is a huge factor in whether someone makes that decision or not. I mean, granted, I know people like to pull out their phones and just like record rather than live in the moment or pull over and actually help somebody because they don't want to take time out of their day. But with something like that, I would have to believe that fear. Because you don't see that shit every day, man.
Of course not, man.
So I can imagine for the average person, especially if you're older and and you're slowed down a lot, you don't have that young vibrantness. Like, I'm ready for shit to pop off.
Yeah.
I can imagine fear has a lot to do with someone not stepping in and intervening.
So let's start at the bare bones of this man.
First of all, his Justice for Junior. That's the thing going on.
That's it.
I'm pretty sure that's not his name, but Junior, I guess that's his name.
I think his name was Junior.
Yeah.
I mean, man, all of my sympathy goes to that family, man. I couldn't imagine. But right here, me and you, man, what type of person are you? Do you stop? Do you pull over when you see a car accident, when you see somebody in need of help, when you see a fight, when you see something? Like, do you pull over and try to help, try to de-escalate the situation? Whatever it is, what type of person are you? Do you watch or do you help?
I think it all depends on the situation, man, because there's been times, and I probably don't consciously do this. This is the first time I'm actually consciously thinking about what I do now. Like, if I see a guy pulled over on the side of the street, you know what I mean? I'm assessing, like, what kind of car is he driving? How is he dressed? Like, will he be? I'm gauging whether or not he'll be okay or not. Whether or not, because if I pull over and you see, a businessman and he's hopping out of his car and he has a suit and tie on, he's on the phone, I'm like, instantly my mind goes, okay, he got it. You know what I mean? He's straight.
AAA or some shit.
Yeah. And that's most of the cases.
But
like,
let's say car accident.
If I'm, and once again, like, if I witness it happen, like, I'll pull over, like, because clearly I'm one of the first ones on scene. But I'll pass by car accidents to where everyone's out the car, and they're on the cell phones. Right. But if I see some shit happen, like, literally in front of me, like, I'll pull over and make sure, someone stop or someone is calling the police.
My thought is always, that could be me. And, growing up, not so easy. More times than not, that was me. You know what I mean? And I feel very grateful for the people that did stop the beatings did stop. You know what I mean? Whatever was
Yeah.
happening to me, that was able to jump in. Even when I've been in car accidents,
Yeah.
all the people that have stopped and helped me, no matter what predicament I'm in. When I was stabbed, people helped. You know what I mean?
When you've been jumped and stabbed and things like that, there was a hero around essentially, or
I wouldn't even say a hero, man. I just think somebody who just did the right thing, who jumped into action, right? And growing up, I always saw that too.
Yeah.
Right. And so, seeing somebody like my mom's do that, even if she has to stand up to somebody bigger, or even if there is fear in her eyes, doing it regardless. You know what I mean?
But that's your mom, though, bro.
But see, and I learned a lot from that, brother, because
Yeah.
I'm very much so like that. I if there's some sort of argument or something, I'm gonna try to de-escalate that situation. I'm gonna try to if I see a car accident, I'm gonna pull over.
Yeah.
If I see somebody in need of help, I'm gonna try to pull over and help. Right. And my question is, man, how the fuck did we get here with society just being okay with? I mean, I don't know, bro. Right? Like, and I couldn't say in that situation, like, them dudes had machetes. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I think I would have tried to do something. You know what I'm saying? Grab a chair. Because those dudes, the heat of the moment, you can say, hey, you can start screaming, hey, they're calling the police, and you try to get out there with a chair or something. Grab a rack from inside the bodega. Something, bro, because seeing niggas just chopping up, and the kid looked young as fuck.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was some grown man. I think it'd be different if I seen them beating some grown man up. I'd be like, what's a grown man?
Yeah.
He must have earned that.
Nigga must have did something.
Yeah, you see a little kid, bro, and the shitty part is we've all watched the video again.
Yeah.
Is the kid ran into the bodega like, help me, and nobody helped.
Yeah.
Nobody helped, bro. The dude could have took him into the back room, locked the door, something, right? They're gonna assault the dude? Like I thought it was so crazy, man, that they just let this happen, right? And this isn't the only instance, and I think that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
Is because we just talked about it too. Is that we watched another video today?
Yeah, I was gonna
where two people drowned, and people were just recording. They were standing around recording. People were even saying, "I'm not jumping in that water.
Yeah.
I ain't jumping in that water." It's like, where is your sense of compassion, bro? That's another life.
Well, but here's the thing to go along with that you have to think about too, man. I mean, because I know I've done some lifeguard stuff back in the day. Took a couple courses, and for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, if you happen to be wondering, World Star, shout out World Star. There's this video on World Star of, and the headline or the caption is man drowns in Nigerian Falls.
Niagara Falls.
Or Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Was it Niagara?
Niagara
Falls.
Falls,
It was
yeah.
Nigerian.
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. Okay.
Speaking English, I mean.
So I don't know what this dude had dropped in the water, because they were on like an overpass or a bridge, and the river was going under the bridge.
I don't know why it'd be important to even get it, nigga. It fell in the water. It's gone.
Yeah. Apparently he needed it, because they were saying in the video he needed it. But long story short, this man dropped something in the river, and it was floating to where he couldn't reach it. So him and this other guy.
As a black guy.
Yeah, you can definitely add as a black guy. So this black guy and this
swimming skills already iffy. Let's just be real. You know what I'm saying? I'm being honest, right?
We got to bring that up too. But anyway, long story short, this African American gentleman, or this African gentleman, and this Caucasian guy, I don't know if they knew each other or not. You can see them down on the side of the bank, and there's somebody recording them from the bridge. And the dude recording, he was a black dude, I'm sure he was. And you can see the two gentlemen on the bank, trying to plot like how they were going to get whatever it is out of the water. And I guess the guy that was going in, he couldn't swim that well, the black guy. So he swims out, and it's only about 10 feet away from the bank or the shoreline. Yeah. And he does okay on the way out there. But it looked like if he got started swimming with momentum going forward, he can swim. But as soon as he stopped, it looked like he didn't know how to tread water and get back. So what essentially happened is he went into panic mode, and he started, floundering on the surface, I guess, gasping for air. Yeah. He would go under for maybe a second and a half and come back up and right back down. And everyone knew what was going on. Oh my God, he's drowning. So this white guy comes and he swims out there to him, and he tries to pull him up. And
but in the panic, the dude's pulling the white guy down.
And that's what I was gonna bring up, man. Which goes into this, like through
two parts of this,
through a lot of lifeguard stuff. That's been the training. and you don't think about it, but that essentially this video played out in real time what exactly this lesson addressed, and it was in training addressed. It was when you're going out to rescue someone, you're more than likely going to rescue someone in panic, and in panic, they're in survival mode, and potentially they can pull you under. That's another human being that can pull you under and drown you.
Of course.
So there's certain techniques that they teach you to make sure that your life is because you're never really safe, but that give you the best chance of rescuing this individual without them pulling you under.
Right.
And essentially that's what happened. The white dude had a lot of compassion. He went out there. He looked like he was a seasoned swimmer, and he was trying to pull the guy up. And they struggled for maybe about 45 or 50 seconds. If that. And at the end of the video, I don't know if they both survived, but
they were both under. Dog.
They both went under. They both disappeared under. And that's when the video stopped. Like shit was getting
just
real.
Recording, right? So there's a few points to hit on this. First, crazy as fuck that we got to see
that. Shit was crazy, man.
Second, the people, everybody watching, right? They could have formed a chain or some shit. You know what I mean? Third, that's where the argument is.
Yeah.
This dude was trying to save this man, and they both drowned. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the argument. It's like you're putting yourself in that line of fire, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like, you don't want to do it because it's for a cause, but you got to think that's another human life, right? That's somebody else's potentially dad, you know what I mean? Brother, son, whoever that is, right? And if that was you out there flailing, you'd want somebody to come get you.
Well, of course, bro. Of course. But then you also have to ask yourself, like, what if both of them died? What if both of them died?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know the end result of the video, but
it's a double-edged sword.
If both of them drowned,
it's a double-edged sword. Yeah.
I would it may sound fucked up, but I would much rather let the dude that went out there drown opposed than two people fucking drown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I commend that dude's compassion.
Maybe you should have gotten there with the strategy. Maybe a strategy. You know what I mean? But and exactly, all we can do it now because we don't know if they're dead or not. But all we can do now is really commend them and.
But let's say
admire that, but you are definitely putting yourself in the line of fire if it comes to that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Somebody's on fire, maybe you can throw a blanket on them or something. You know what I mean? Like somebody's getting, somebody's injured. You can stop. You can try to, put your shirt on them. You can try to put a tourniquet on them. Whatever it is, like in different situations, right? I guess it would make sense that. Depending on the situation,
so
you'd want to, but I think that I still want to jump in there. The Junior getting stabbed thing, like I said, maybe grabbing a fucking rack or something, right, like, and yelling at them like police is on their way, you know what I mean, or freeze police, something, to get their attention. Maybe the boy can get away, you know what I mean? Like,
here's the thing, man. For me personally, what I think there's different outcomes. There's different outcomes for the different situation. One, if I had a gun on me, I would do something.
There's New York, so they want you to be dead out there.
You mean like
New York, bro, is one of the hardest places to have, you know what I'm saying, to be able to conceal
so you're
carry.
saying you can't do that.
100%.
So, but
if you'd be illegally carrying a gun,
if you strip all that away, like if I had a gun, I would more than likely intervene.
Yeah.
But if I don't have a gun, I'm probably not gonna intervene in that. I see these niggas got knives and shit like that. I'll probably say something like, "Hey man, like what do y'all do?" Like you said. But as far as actually getting in there, mind you too. I don't know this guy. If it's my homie, of course I'm gonna get in there.
Sure.
So there's several things at play here. But I didn't know this dude. Like you said, I didn't know what he did. And it's easy now to say, look back in hindsight and say, oh, how horrific it is, mistaken identity. But in the moment, you don't know if this nigga actually deserved that shit or what. R.I.P. to him. And
they could have just given him a good beating.
But
even if it's mistaken identity, you know what I mean? They ended up shanking him and macheteing him to death, right? That in itself, man, is tragic.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be a tough situation to intervene.
Yeah.
Right? But even beyond that, you know what I mean? Like that situation aside, I think everywhere else in the world, man, when did it get so ruthless, right? When did people stop, you know what I mean, having empathy? When did people stop helping other people?
Honestly, though, bro, I think throughout history, I think this is another one of those situations where it's always been happening and it's probably been a lot worse. It's just now everyone has phones and everyone has. And
Right.
now, granted, like we brought up, there's a lot of we lose some of people's ability to stop what they're doing and help out because they're recording.
But that's what I mean.
We lose some of that. But I think as of today in 2018, opposed to maybe 200, 300 years ago, I think shit like this probably happened every day. You know what I mean? 400, 500 years ago. Probably even worse.
Makes sense, man. You know what I mean? Makes sense, but I think there's more of a chance of people helping if they're not going for their first reaction to be pulling their phone out. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that's what I mean. It's that split second of like, oh, maybe I could do something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, maybe I could do something. Nobody has that thought because it's like, oh, maybe I could record this.
See, but
maybe I can get this on WorldStar.
But
Shout out to WorldStar.
Couldn't it be a possibility that people pulling out their phone to record is them thinking that,
They're helping?
that I'm helping because I have evidence, I'm collecting evidence, and in real time of the situation. So it's kind of like they feel like they're helping without putting themselves in immediate danger, involving themselves in the danger. They feel like it's the right thing to do to record it. Just like how people pull out phones on cops doing shit like that.
Yeah, for sure, man. But I've seen like, I don't know, man. I've seen even more tragic shit, right? I've seen like kids walking through traffic and people are pulling their phones out instead of like, hey, let me stop fucking traffic. I've seen animal abuse, right? I've seen domestic abuse, right? Where a dude is just manhandling a woman and you're like, those situations, it's always iffy because people say like, hey, you don't want to get involved because you don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Irregardless, bro, dudes shouldn't be putting their hands on women, period. Right? Maybe we got to have this conversation, but period, bro, period.
I agree.
She wants to act like a dude? Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Different.
But you don't know what is exactly, so you
but
never
if you're just watching a woman get beat for no reason, right? Like if they're fighting back and forth, it's like, this is probably every day for them.
Yeah.
But if you're just watching a man pummel on a woman, people are just pulling their phones out instead of intervening.
Yeah.
Right? People on the bridge, I've seen suicides. It's like nobody's saying like, hey, they're recording, right? And this is what I mean, bro. It's like when did we lose that? When did we lose people trying to help? When did we lose people opening doors for other people? Even if we just get down to the bare bones, maybe the Justice for Junior thing is very, 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 very extreme. But let's get bare bones. When did people stop opening the doors? When did people stop saying thank you? Bro, how many times a day I walk around, and this might be fucking petty and small, but bless you, motherfucker sneeze. I don't give a fuck. You can say thank you if you're not religious.
I don't
Shout out Ronnie B.
I don't think we've lost any of that, bro. I really don't. Like
I do, bro.
I think the majority of time, like aside from the pulling out the phone thing, and I guess there's groups into that a little bit. I don't think people are not willing to help. I don't know, bro. The majority of the time, someone's holding the door for me. Like, and I come into work, someone holds the door.
Maybe it's because you're handsome. You know what I'm saying?
There's instances where it doesn't happen, but for the majority of the time,
most
people are
have it the other way
considerate.
around. I have a very, very optimistic view on life myself. You know what I mean? Because that's what I try to project to people around me, and I try and I'm out in the public a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I just watch. And see it, right? I see it everywhere, bro. I see it at schools. I see it at church. I see it at church, of course. Last practice,
people are rude, man.
Now, but everywhere else, man. Like, and I just watch, right? Maybe it's not even happening to me. I'm just watching people watching out there, and it's like, when did this happen, bro? When did people stop? You know, when was it like? Not help thy neighbor, right?
See, I really don't think it's people though, bro. Because when you say people, it's like it makes it seem like it's everybody. I really feel like for the most
can't
part,
generalize it.
Like,
I mean, you can't generalize it, but I mean, it's more evident now than ever, and that's the point that I'm trying to make is that it's more evident now than ever, and I don't think it's solely because, you know, we got social media and we have access to cameras. I don't think it's just that. I think that there's a bigger problem. Bro, I think that there's a bigger problem.
What do you think that problem could be?
In this society, I'm not gonna blame it on the games, right? Oh, it's the video games that are making them violent. I think I had to blame it on the lack of love, and I hate to sound corny, and I hate to sound on some hippie shit, but I think it's just the lack of love, man.
But that's vague, bro. Like if there is a lack of love per se, it has to be a cause.
Projected, not even not even like a cause on some like run for breast cancer or the Susan Coleman. I don't even mean that. I feel like it was projected, and maybe it was even fake back then, and maybe I was young and dumb, right? But it seemed like it was projected a lot more in the past. I think that it's now, bro. It's and I think we brought it up before. It's everybody for themselves. Look out for yourself, and that's what's being told to our kids. Like, look out for number one. Fuck everybody else. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Like, everybody's on that. Don't trust a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, and I've seen it growing up, of course, but now, like, that's the thing. That's the thing to be. Fuck your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? And instead of live and grow with them and help them, and everybody prospers. Not on some gospel shit, but everybody prospers, bro, when everybody fucks with everybody, right? Everybody prospers when we live in a society that's actually a community, and that. We've definitely spoke on that before, the separation of the community that we have, and I'm just wondering when this happened, because it's mind-boggling to me.
Well, I have a vague theory. Maybe in the past, like communities, like you're more likely to work in the same area as your neighbor, per se, and of course you're gonna the more you're around someone, the more you actually fuck with them. Like, the more sense of community, the more likely you are to show empathy towards them, the more likely you are to actually care what's going on in your life. But if you look at nowadays, and this could be, you know, when we've gotten transportation, everyone has cars. This could be one of the end results of having everyone having the type of transportation we do for a long period of time, because there's neighborhoods where people don't even talk to their neighbors because you know they never see them. They work in two completely different areas of town, so you don't feel connected to them like that.
Of course not.
So that mixed with television and media, entertainment, and we've talked about it before. Amazon. You don't have to. There's really no reason to leave your house other than intentionally wanting to leave your house, because you have all your needs met. You know.
Do you think that's what's kind of disconnected us? That is what has done it. That's what's made us all
probably
so
over
polarized?
time. Because when was the automobile like actually invented? Like 1940?
Is it something like that?
I don't know, 20 to 40, let's say. 20, 40. So it's still relatively recent, as far as human existence goes, that we've had this type of transportation.
Well, it's the solution, though, right? That's the thing is how do you shift that back, right? How do you shift that back slowly, right? But when, again, my argument's always going to be that when there's the lack of love, even the lack of love in the home, you know what I mean? Like, and not to be on some religious shit, man, but I think that family structure, bro, is key. You know what I mean? Mom, dad, you know, brother, sister, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Mom, dad, a couple kids.
But that's not accounting for, because those structures exist, True. And a lot of those structures don't talk to their neighbors. Of course. You know what I mean? Yeah, but what I think you're getting with that is a micro example of the strongest community. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. Strongest community. But just the fact that we have that and we see that in the tight, close-knit family, maybe that's exclusive to that group. Maybe people aren't supposed to, or I'm not saying fuck thy neighbor, but maybe, you know, there's a certain amount of energy and bandwidth that's reserved for you and your immediate family, your wife, kids, or whatever it is.
And of course, it's the example you're setting too, as that head of the household or head of that community, right? When it's your family and your kids. But my thing is, we're stronger together. You know what I mean? Like, you can get more shit done together, and I feel like people fail to see that because they're more so focused on themselves, and which is good too, right? You definitely have to have that self-focus, but I think that personally I've seen such a disconnect that it's troubling. Because instead of help, we're watching people die.
I mean, in that, I see what you're saying, but I was going to ask you, what do you mean by we're stronger together?
in the sense of as a community. And I think,
but to accomplish what? The only
to
reason,
accomplish a better community, to accomplish a better future, to accomplish a better society, because together you start to mesh more. There's more socializing. And the kids is who's important, right? As adults, all we're here for is to be an example for the next coming wave, right? The future of what we're gonna say is this world. And I think with a stronger knit community, it shows, bro, we're social animals. It shows the upcoming wave how to make the next wave bigger.
Well, a few thoughts on that. I think we're hardwired. Everything we do comes down to increasing our chance of survival. Right. So, like, that's why in the past, if you look, that's why there are indigenous tribes that are still exist today, but they're not quote unquote civilized communities. You know what I mean? But the reason that they're so big and they're so close and there's no crime, there's no murder, there's none of that is because literally they depend on their neighbor to survive. Of
course.
You know what I mean? But in America, in Western civilization, I should say, we've pretty much, and you have things we have this coming along in the future with automation. There's things that do shit for us now, and who knows how far it's going to get in the future. But I don't think that we need to depend on each other as much for survival anymore. Yeah. Now, as a country, I'm saying we do, but there's 300 million people in the country, but you don't necessarily need your neighbor in order to survive, as to where, like, in indigenous culture, like, the person living next to you, you need them. You know what I mean? You literally need them to survive, increase your survival. But we've gotten to a point now to where we're one big tribe, and all our little tribes inside are diluted, and they don't really necessarily need to depend on each other for survival. Because if we did, I think we would know every single person on our block. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And my only thing would be, what's the solution? I mean, what's the solution to making the next wave better, right? If you're saying that we're getting further and further apart because of convenience, right? That's what it comes down to. If we know that in nature, again, I love going back to it, but if we model nature, it's been here way longer than us. It's alive, right?
Yeah.
And look at how it lives as a community. You know, certain plants will change the way they taste if they know one of them is getting attacked. It'll send a signal out, right? Like, fungi, trees, everything, bro. It's alive.
See, but that's also another, I don't know if caveat is the right word to use, but look at lion packs, man. Like, if you look at certain models in nature, it's very tribal. You know what I mean? It's a lot of it is the family type survival, like the family structure you said. But if you look at, like, the pride, right? There are fights between the two. There it's not like every single animal in, you know.
Oh, of course, but everybody has one goal, right? When
to survive.
Of course, and to keep the pride alive. When it comes down to it, that's what it is. And it seems like we only have that when there's, like, a huge tragedy, right? There's tragedies every single day.
That's a great point.
Tragedies every single day.
That's a great point, and maybe that highlights the point that I made earlier, as far as a country, on the macro level, like, when these terrible things happen and we feel like, oh, this is us as a country and my pride, there's a massive response to that. But those same people won't talk to their neighbor, and I think that's because there's no sense of, you know, your neighbor's there, and you know there's certain sub levels within your entire country, and you know, working and operating on these sub levels, like, you don't really, or you may subconsciously feel that you don't need to necessarily vibe with your neighbor like that, or a stranger in the street, even though there's a sense of pride in being American and knowing you're from the same country. You know, on the certain sub level, it's not necessary to go out of your way, because I think as a human you still realize you're an individual, and ultimately we all have that self-preservation mechanism that kicks in.
I think honestly, I think that's wrong, right? Like, I mean, to myself, I think that's wrong, man. I think that's wrong. I think it's great that everybody unifies when something crazy happens, but crazy shit's happening every single day.
Yeah.
And instead of doing something you just said, like, everybody individualizes and thinks just of them, or even to go further, some people think like, well, what could I really do? And it's like, maybe you can have an idea that somebody else didn't have, or maybe maybe you're not out there, jumping into the river to save this dude, but you got an idea or something, right? My only question again, man, is could it ever be turned around? You know what I mean? Could it ever be turned around and people become more unified? Because I think that's when the biggest impact's going to be made. And I think, right, not to bring politics and all that shit into it, but I think now more than ever, we're so fucking disconnected from each other. We're so separate from each other. We're so far from a community that we're able to watch fucking murders. That we're able to watch this, bro, and people not even batting an eye, watching somebody get their head busted in by like 4 other dudes, even when it's just people throwing hands. I mean, they're stomping dudes out, man. Because
people don't want to be a part of that, man. I think I don't want to bring in like certain evolutionary theories in or whatever, but people don't want to be. We as humans, we understand that now we can get things done without physical harm and imposing physical force on something. So I think like we discussed, like, people don't see someone getting stabbed and fucking cut with a machete every day.
Of course not.
So since we're not used to dealing with that type of conflict on that level, we're not used to dealing with conflict like that.
Right.
Anyway, we don't want any part of it, because I think once again our human mechanism kicks in and says, oh, there's a problem. If I had a problem, there's no way that I would solve it like that or try to resolve it that. And I think when those people see, like, if you've never been in a fight in your life and you see someone, fighting and getting beat up,
right,
you can't understand, and it's scary to you, which, you don't want any parts of it, because that's not how you solve your problems.
Well, I think either way it's scary, right? If I've seen a fight like that and try to stop, of course it's scary. Of course I'd be scared.
I think there's a lot of people that aren't, though, bro, or at least not on because of course you and I, there's some fear there, but I'm pretty sure there are people out there who that's
well, I mean,
their
either
shit.
way, I personally, right, I'd push through it and try to do something or try to help, right? Whether it be a kid walking on the street, something, whatever, you know what I mean? If it's something that's not gonna put me in immediate danger, if they're shooting at somebody, of course I'm not gonna jump in the way of some, or, to pull this dude out or whatever it is, or again, in this situation, it depends on the situation, of course. But
go ahead.
It's I think that trait, that characteristic in people trying to help, trying to solution seek, even if it's trying to pull everybody else in, like, hey, we can figure something out to do to help. I think it's gone now, man.
I don't think so, man. I just think that people can help. People are more likely to help with things that they're comfortable with, and
everybody's uncomfortable now
with certain things. And like we've discussed, like, you don't see that in person every single day. You know what I mean? So the likelihood that you're gonna find someone who is used to seeing combat and used to seeing horrific things firsthand is likely very, very small, like through day-to-day life. So, but I guarantee, like you said, given your experience, like you grew up in Chicago, you're used to a certain type of temperament and dealing with a certain type of aggressive temperament from certain people. So someone might come up to you and bang on you like, fuck, like, you know what I'm saying? And you be able to retaliate to where someone, and maybe think of the place that we work, there's a lot of people in there who just aren't about that life, and they're not used to that. So the way that if someone were to come up to them and do that, they would shit their pants. You know what I mean? and they're less. Those people are less likely to help. And a good example, we brought it up today. People who need service dogs for emotional support.
Yeesh.
You know, and people are put in traumatic situations who have never been in traumatic situations, and they get all fucked up after to the word a dog, I guess, is their emotional support partner. To where, and we've discussed it today. You and I asked you, I'm like, bro, you've seen someone get shot? Yeah, bro, I've seen someone get killed right in front of me. You know what I mean? And so I guess my brain, there's a part of it that's normalized to that now. So I'm more likely to jump into that type of conflict in that realm, people getting beat up, because I'm more likely to do that because I'm more comfortable in dealing and confident in me being successful in helping.
See, I would argue that people are exposed to that, right? I would argue that I know a lot of people that I know personally, right, that watch these videos and watch them all day and all night, right? Like, have seen, maybe not firsthand, but seen it through videos and seen enough to kind of desensitize. And I think that that's where our society is now, that it's very desensitized.
Well, yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem.
Well, that's the thing, though, bro. But I to backtrack, I would say that seeing these things firsthand is the largest portion, overwhelmingly, has to do with, if you don't see that in person, it's like you're almost watching a movie. You know what I mean? Because movies nowadays, it's acting, it's fake, and they make that shit look so real. You're the way your brain registers it as, I mean, there's a certain novelty factor to it, like, wow, this is real, opposed to when you're going to see the fucking Avengers and people getting killed there. But I still think the fact that you're not there is the largest part of. You're
not wrong. It's easy to push play. You're absolutely not wrong. I just honestly, man, I mean,
it sucks.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. You know, and I'm part of the problem, man, because I watch those videos, right? But
I wouldn't say that's a problem.
It's a shame, man. I think it's just a shame that we're able to see that. Like, I feel for the family, man, for all of the people. Eric Gardner. I mean, I feel for the family of the people who were able to watch their loved ones get killed on video. And that shit is on there forever. It's on the internet now, so it's never going nowhere, right?
Every time I got to throw Philando's name out there, man, because that's one that just...
It's one of the biggest injustices.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think it's sad, man. I think it's really sad, and would really, would love to see it change.
XXX Temptation?
That's crazy, too,
Or as you would say, Tentacion?
Absolutely. That's crazy, too, because just hop out the whip, bro. Nothing is enough to die for. Not $100 million, bro. If I got $100 million in the trunk, somebody says, pop out. And I got my family whip, man, fuck that. I'm hopping right out.
Yeah,
if they outgun me, if it one-on-one, I might take a shot. If it's niggas with AKs and I'm gonna get the fuck out of the car.
So are you saying he refused to hop out of the car?
That's what I heard, man. I heard that he was arguing with them or trying to talk to him. Hop out. Give him the bag.
I heard the last thing I heard is he was saying, please, no, don't do it. And he got popped.
Oh, see, again, nobody knows the story, right? I mean, that's one video that hasn't gotten out. But nobody knows the story. I heard he was saying no, he was talking to him, trying to talk to him, and it's like, man, dudes are already itchy as fuck. Motherfuckers are making it so easy to kill somebody right now. It's mine, bro. I thought that we had a problem in Chicago when I was growing up.
Yeah. But
it's
now
crazy as fuck right now. I heard a mom say at the barbershop, I'm taking my boys out of Chicago because it's getting hot. And people just get angry when it's hot.
Yeah.
Simple.
Just getting hot.
Getting the kids out of Chicago for the summer because it's gonna get too hot.
The actual temperature, folks.
Like this is the life we live in. That's why I think that it's so desensitized that people are okay with just watching somebody drown. I wish there's some way it can be turned around. I wish there's some way that something can make a change, bro. Like I said, if we can reach 2-3 people, I'm cool with it, man. But I think that something drastic needs to change, man. And it has to start at the fucking bare bones. I'm not saying you get out there and pass out flyers, but start with the people you fuck with. Yeah. Start with your circle first. Fix that. And then that circle fixed another circle, and it just gets it's a snowball effect. And I think that if we could just take the time out to do that, bro, add some value. You know what I mean? Like, and I watch it. You know, growing up, I had no empathy, bro. I didn't give a fuck. But now, as an adult, as a father, you know what I'm saying, as an uncle, I see it as we gotta fix it, or at least attempt it, or at least put it into motion for maybe not our kids, but our kids' kids. You know what I'm saying? But it starts right now. And I think that the lack of, man, not even the lack of, I just think the desensitization, if that's a word.
Yeah, bro. I still think that the whole because I think it breaks down, if you push it all the way down to the very fundamental thing that, or the fundamental idea that nobody as a human really knows, really truly, what we're doing here and our purposes. And I know you say our purpose is for the kids, and because that's your offspring. You know, life tries to continue, but in the even broader scale, nobody knows why. And you even said, like, we need to make a better community, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to think of, like, what that means. Like, okay, let's say we have the best community, then what? Like, what does that accomplish really, other than being in a better situation?
I think as a whole, as a collective, I think people are more willing to actually make a change, to actually, you know, speak up and try to get their voice heard and actually try to make a difference. And like I said, man, it's harder to break a bundle of fucking sticks than it is to break one.
But to go along with what you said, man, I truly think that people will only do that if at some level their well-being or survival is directly affected. I think,
and that's where it's unfortunate, man.
You know,
and that's where I think it's unfortunate. I think that it should be taught to our kids, honestly, man. You know what I mean? And not just at the home, but, you know, with other influencers, because as parents, we're not the only influencers, right? As uncles, you're not the only influencers in these kids' lives.
Yeah.
So it's like, if as a collective we can try to make a move, I think it'd be better for us as a whole, man.
I think I do agree with that. I definitely do agree with that. And yeah, you're not wrong. But I'm having a couple thoughts now about what's restricting us for doing that, because you're saying, you know, why is this and what would it take for it to change? I think we're bound in a couple of ways. Let's take Chicago, for example, or let's just take the United States, and then I'll talk about Chicago. But you remember how I was saying earlier how for the most part shit is pretty good, you know what I mean? Like, because you're able to wake up every day, and the first thing on your mind isn't, oh, how am I going to survive today, right, or I might get killed today, which in some places there are, like Chicago. So in Chicago, those people's direct survival is impacted, and you know, as a citizen who lives in Chicago and probably the bad part of Chicago, that is something that goes through your mind every day. Am I going to survive today?
Of course.
But you're bound financially. It's not like you're able to just pick up and, you know, move across the state. Like, we don't have that type of system anymore.
Right.
So I think a lot of that, and that you get socialized to have to deal in this environment because you're stuck there because your family's not financially well off to go somewhere else.
Where community would be a big part of that, because community doesn't mean financial stability, right? Community means we're here to help. Community means, you know, we work as one. There's a problem in this neighborhood, we work as one. You know what I'm saying? On some, let's fix it as one.
But right?
I think that sounds movie-ish.
I think that culture perpetuates itself. So, like, if you think kids are born with a blank slate, but right, if you're a kid born in Chicago, at its core, your main goal is to survive, and you have to change your personality and your persona in a certain way to survive in that situation. So therefore, if you're a kid, right, one of the smartest in Chicago, the smartest thing to do is join a gang. You know what I mean? Because there's protection that comes along with that. Because you could just get randomly killed. You know. And now, granted, being a gang member, there's a likely. high chance that you'll get killed as well. But you can get killed as an individual in Chicago.
Yeah, of course.
But what's added with the gang members is a sense of community, is a sense of belonging.
That's a false sense.
It's a false sense, but it is a sense that feels there given your current situation. Because I guarantee you, if parents had the choice, like you said, the lady, I'm getting my kids out of Chicago because it's hot for the summer.
Right.
Imagine if you're I don't want to say disenfranchised, but a poor family who has a baby living in Chicago, and shit changes when you have a baby. You're like, oh my gosh, I want this kid not to be in this environment. Right. The majority of people, if they could, they would move away from that situation, but they can't. So therefore, the kids end up growing up hardened.
But they also don't intend to better their community, right? I think even some of the gangs, right, like the Latin Kings, started as a community protection. You know what I mean? It was protecting the Latinos from the whites that were fucking with them. Like, that's where it started from, man. Like, it really started. A lot of these pure things did start from communities, but it's hard because everything eventually gets corrupted. And that's what's fucked up. Because, again, the individual. Yeah. The individual is thinking about the individual instead of thinking about the community. And I think that's where that's the bigger picture, bro.
So do you think there's somehow, like, in the sense of community, there's an individual who, for whatever reasons, rises to the top of the hierarchy and then turns corrupt and is able to sway the entire. So even within these groups, if an individual rises, that's an individual is the cause of this.
Yeah, and I think that's because of a lack of being shown the right way. Really attaching to that and knowing that this is what's gonna further us and help us prosper as a people. You know what I mean? Because a community does make an individual stronger, and I think people lack seeing that, right? And I'm very fortunate to live in a neighborhood that has a pretty strong community, and I love it, right? I'm very grateful for that. But I go other places and it's like, oh yeah, I mean, we've waved at them, but we've never really said hi. We've never really said what's up, like. And I think that's why. It's because we're so polarized now, man. It's now because of convenience. We've completely neglected the social part of animal that we are, and I think that's become detrimental to our future because nobody's brave enough to stand up, and if they are, they get ridiculed. And if they are, they're looked at as like, look at you, you fucking weirdo, you know what I mean? Trying to say thank you and then trying to be as courteous as fucking possible, right?
Yeah, man, but in some way you can say it's detrimental, but if you shift your mindset in another direction, as far as like if you look at human evolution, like where are we going in the future? You don't have to leave your house anymore. There's really no need for you to interact with other human beings. I mean, I was watching right now on, I think it was World Star 2. Shout out World Star again. The life of a professional gamer. Baller. And this nigga was in the Hollywood Hills, living in a 10-bedroom mansion, driving around in a Rolls Royce. You know what I mean? And we've never seen that before. We've never seen that type of lifestyle because of video games. So I think you're saying that it's detrimental now because we're kind of like in a in-between stage to where there's some people who still fuck with their neighbors like that, and there's some people who are just completely isolated and only deal with technology. But I think if everyone only dealt with technology and communicated not face-to-face, that was the norm, you can't really say that it's a detrimental thing. Maybe that's the way our species is supposed to go.
Nature, bro. Nature. I'm always gonna bring it back to nature.
That's what I mean.
That's what we are. In nature, the lone wolf per se, right? Without saying that, right? Because that wolf always ends up dying, ends up getting attacked by a bigger pack. The hyenas, like these are scavengers. They seem like it's the pack. You know what I'm saying? The pack moves forward, and I think that's what it comes down to.
But that's what I'm saying, though, bro. It seems to me like you're associating only the pack of being in your neighbor's face, but well, I'm saying
not even that, bro.
We're still a pack.
The further thing, the bigger picture. I don't mean just your neighbor. I mean that's important too, but I don't mean just. I think while you're out and about, while you're just living your normal life, right? The lack of even just common fucking courtesy, man. And I say that too goddamn much because people always laugh at me when I do, but I'm like, yo, this is a real thing.
Well, I know that, but I'm asking on a deeper level, like why is it that you think that that's detrimental? And because the way our human species, if you look at us like some type of super organism, like who's to say that the direction that we're going is bad? Because it's not the choice of the individual, it's the choice of this collective group of people. To where, yeah, there's our individual choice, but as a group, we decide to do things, and as a group, that kind of is its own entity. You know what I mean? Just like bacteria in your body. Like, not one single bacteria cell says, "Oh, I'm gonna." Why are the rest of you guys doing this? You know, and it just falls in line with whatever the group consciousness is.
Yeah.
You know,
there is that.
But who knows? I could be wrong.
There definitely is that, but in the wrong places. And that's what I mean, man. Like there is groupthink and there is all but in the wrong places. When all that energy could be focused on just bettering all of ourselves.
But that's my fundamental.
I couldn't say though that seems how that could not be detrimental to just be alone, right? Just never leave your house, never interact, and when you do interact, just be as short. And I don't see how even just in shit there that's still a rule of it's who you know, right? It's like how the fuck are you gonna know anybody if you never.
But that's what I'm saying, because we're in the in-between stage. We haven't transitioned. We haven't went through this stage of metamorphosis and come out on the other side. Whenever like this, as a superorganism, we're changing, and some of us, as if you think of us as bacteria, some of us fall off and shit like that, and everybody isn't meant to make it through the other side. This is all theory, by the way.
Right.
But and also, another thing I've been thinking about is like how do you determine what we do as a collective is not nature in itself? Like given technology, given being antisocial, because it's not only happening to one person. It's not like
it's just the evolution of the direction we're supposed to be going in?
That's the question I'm asking. Like, why is it that we're going this way?
And who's right? We don't fucking know.
It's not like one person. Like, it's not like Hitler's making a decision and converting. It's not like he's like Agent Smith from the Matrix, literally copying his own individual. But
or the Illuminati.
But us as individuals, for some reason, we're moving towards this antisocial, iPad affiliated, social media obsessed group.
Yeah.
And for reasons that we don't really necessarily know.
That's what I think is detrimental, bro, because it causes more self-consciousness. It causes more self-hate. Because 9 times out of 10, people are just comparing and contrasting. Look at this. Oh, I don't have this. I'm not doing this. And it separates people more, because then it's like, fuck, Luch, you got that new watch.
But to agree with your point, or agree with exactly what you're saying, and to like combat my point, and this goes back to what you're saying about how the Latin King started. The cause of this, if you do look at it, and I know I just brought up Hitler, but the cause that the cause of this, if you do fundamentally look at it, is rooted in not the selfishness. I guess you would say the selfishness of the individual. Because you can say, what if Mark Zuckerberg never invented Facebook, or none of these CEOs never invented the social media platforms? And these are individuals who are making these choices. And the reason I would imagine that Mark Zuckerberg and all these other CEOs made these choices was, one, to make other people's lives convenient, but also make them convenient for their own personal gain. They want prestige. Right. They want to be known as someone who is a revolutionary.
Of course.
So the greediness of that, I don't even want to call it greed, but the mindset of that individual is to reach that prestigious level. Right. So I'm going to create something that's going to entrap society into, and sometimes we see it and it turns out good. And like you said, other times we see it like Hitler. And I'm not saying Zuckerberg is Hitler, but I'm saying there's probably a spectrum of these individuals causing this massive influence.
Of course. And that's what it comes down to, influence.
Yeah.
But again, who are we to say when it comes down to it, man? we don't know what direction it should go in or what direction it could go in.
Yeah.
I, again, just wanted to speak up and, man, just get out there and fucking smile at somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Say thank you, say please. Let a motherfucker in the traffic when he's trying to get in. But maybe we start there.
I had another point I forgot about, but I don't know if you want. It's a quick point, but I don't know if you want to hear it though.
Please.
It has to do with the XXX Temptation one. Junior, something's happening. You know what I mean? He's getting stabbed outside. Like there's something is in the motion of happening, but people are fucking recording X's body just lifeless.
Yeah.
Like everything is over with. And you have your camera up on a fucking dead body. Like, just, you know, maybe it's the fact that he's a celebrity or whatever, but I think that's disturbing, bro.
That's what I mean,
I think
bro.
that's disturbing.
That makes my point.
Yeah.
That there is no empathy. Jesus Christ, man, that kid's parents is gonna see that.
Yeah, that's
like that. That's what I mean, bro. We've become so disconnected that we will watch a shot up body. You know what I mean? I watched the video of there's a car crash and there's body parts all over Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard.
Crazy.
And dude was recording these body parts everywhere. It's like, wow, my God, that's somebody's relative. That's somebody's something. And this dude was laughing, running around like, damn, this is crazy. It just makes my point, man, that where in the fuck did that empathy go? Where did that sense of just we're all humans, man. We're all humans trying to make it out of this bitch.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
Man,
and
you know what I mean?
like you said, we got to do the best we can.
Pretend that was you, right? Think if that was you, what would you want? Would you want somebody recording a screaming world star?
Yeah, we got to do, like you said, because, you know, as far as what we know, being a better person and community does eliminate or minimize the amount of suffering. So that does make sense to head that direction.
Get out there and fucking smile at somebody, man. If you see somebody, you know what I'm saying, that you could help. Yeah. You know what I mean? Try to do something. Even if it's something small, try to do something. Or not.
Yes, sir. You got anything else?
That's it, man.
I'm tapped out, bro. So this is Gilbert and Luch, you know, closing out with another episode of Unfiltered Privilege. Boom. Don't know what we're going to call this one. Probably going to bounce ideas and come up with something dope as fuck. Or triggering. For sure. So, like, subscribe, follow, or not. You guys end up having a good week.